Hey, good morning. Welcome in, everyone, to Primetime Sports Weekend Edition. Eric and Luke back with you here on our Saturday sojourn. And we're getting ready to talk. We got two specific topics, Luke, that we're going to talk about today as you set it up. Obviously, we're going to dive into that Field of Dreams game. That was just magnificent theater. Everything about it was great, and we're going to talk about that. And then the second half of the show, we're going to dive into the Bears.
Bears.
And you're all prepared for the Bears, I see there, Luke, because their first preseason game is today, and this will be the Justin Fields coronation game.
Yeah, I got the Bears today 200 to zip, but Justin Fields will be out to 110 touchdowns and 2,000 rushing yards on the day.
My friend. That's right. Yeah.
But, it's a fun day. It's going to be a fun day. I think today, obviously the Field of Dreams game was incredible, and we're about to talk about that a lot. But today's going to be a fun day, too. You got Justin Fields making his debut, and the series with the Yankees picks back up, which is always fun when they come to town, but means a little more this year with the White Sox being as good as they are. So,
yeah,
fun sports day.
It is a fun sports day, and, of course, you have Cubs Marlins. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you're a Cubs fan, my condolences. This has been a rough week. I would say the only positive outcome from this week is that Jake Arrieta was released. That's not the Jake Arrieta from 2015, 2016. And he kind of turned into a little bit of a D-bag this season. So I think some fans may not be sad that he's moved along for sure.
So that is the extent of our Cubs conversation today.
It is.
And to all Cubs fans, you're welcome. I don't think any Cubs fans want us to talk about the Cubs right now.
No, so. You're probably right about that. So I won't disagree with that. Hey, how did I get Luke's on here twice? I'm Luke and you're Luke.
I think that you probably just think I'm that awesome. I don't know.
Sure. Let me try this again here. Well, that is something. I'm not sure I know how to change that.
I think it could be I know because when I did the show with Mark, I had to change mine. I think it's on the top left, that little 3 dots next to your name.
Yeah. All right. Let's try that here. This is
live on air.
Live on air editing. This is what you came here for.
We'll do it live.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with it now. So unless it's under settings, no, it's not. So I will put that down. And how about we just do this? How about I just bring up the caption of the topic that we're going to talk about right now, which is the Field of Dreams game. Yes. Was it heaven, Luke?
It was heaven if you were a Sox fan for most of that game. But no, it was, it was awesome. It was definitely something that the MLB really hyped up. And I think part of the hype was the fact that it took 2 years for this to happen. It was supposed to happen last year because of COVID. It got wiped. So they have been hyping this thing up for 2 years. And I don't know how someone could say it didn't live up to the hype. Like, the game was incredible.
Right.
The scene was incredible. I thought the whole production of everything was really well done. As much as I'm not the biggest fan of Buck. He's kind of, this past week has really kind of maybe changed my tone on him a little bit. And I thought he did a fantastic job calling the game and letting the moments breathe and all of that stuff. Like, it was just great. It was as big a win and a big a day for the MLB as they've had in a long, long time. And, they haven't done a lot of things well recently. But they deserve an A+ for this one. Kudos to them and for how they put all this together. I think the juice baseballs may have been brought back out for a day here.
Yes, without a doubt.
But that doesn't take away from the evening and what it was. So it was awesome. It was so cool to sit and watch and to take all of that in. I can't imagine what it was like to be there. I listened to Brian McGuffey from NBC Sports Chicago went and on the Sox Talk podcast, he was talking about how there were no boxes. So like every famous person was just in the stands. He was like Kevin Costner was 3 rows from me.
Right.
Jim Thome was a section over, and Frank Thomas was 2 sections over, and everyone was like with their son or with their kids, which is kind of the premise of the movie. So
Right.
It was just a really cool day for baseball, and it was a really good representation of what baseball should and does mean to this country in a lot of ways, and it was great.
Yeah, I mean, the ratings for it was the highest ratings for a regular season game since, I believe, 2005 or 2006.
I had that pulled up. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
And it also bested, it was the highest rated program on all networks that night. So it bested, ABC and CBS and NBC and whatever else, was on Fox, all that stuff. Well, the game was on Fox, but so it tells you how many people were looking forward to this game, whether it was the curiosity aspect of it or, just the uniqueness of it. Obviously, having a team from Chicago and New York is going to boost ratings for it, but this just wasn't two New York and Chicago audiences driving the ratings bonanza for that. And advertisers and Major League Baseball kind of knew this was going to happen because from what I understand, some of the advertising fees that advertisers paid to have commercials run during this game was like some of the highest in like recent memory for baseball. So more so than like World Series games. So that tells you that people kind of had a feeling ahead of time that this thing could be big. And it turned out to be even bigger than anyone could have expected. And then the game itself, set aside, you're in this gorgeous setting with the Field of Dreams set and then this new baseball field that was created. But then everything that was surrounded in terms of getting in there and showing what the game looked like. And then the game started and it was bonkers, especially those last 3 innings. It was just insane.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just an incredible night for baseball. Regardless of what you think of the movie and if you like the movie or not or all of that, it was just a cool concept. Like that was the first game played in Iowa, in a state where they have minor league teams, but they don't have major league teams. And
right.
I've heard just throughout the week that it's a very divided state, like loyalty-wise. There's Sox fans, there's Cub fans, there's Twins fans, there's Brewer fans, there's Cardinal fans, there's just all kinds of fans. So it's just like a state that there's a lot of baseball fans, but there isn't like a set team.
Right.
So it was just a cool idea. Like, even if there wasn't a movie there, I would have been like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Like, an area of the country that doesn't get to see Major League Baseball is going to get to see a game. And, the movie just added a lot to it. And then you combine, like, the really, really interesting, weird history aspects of what happened. The stat where the first walk-off home run, Sox-Yankees, was Shoeless Joe, like 102 years ago.
Right.
It's just like, geez, like what are the odds of that? Now, I will say it's ironic that the MLB does this whole thing about this movie based upon Shoeless Joe Jackson when he's currently banned from baseball. Still, right. He's on the Hall of Fame. If we're gonna throw a game based off a movie off, and maybe we should put him in the Hall. Maybe it's time to do that. But
well, not only that. Like every other commercial in baseball right now is for like points bet or some casino or something like that. So it's like I think it's time to just bring them all in now because they bet on games or fix the games, whatever. I see it, but it's like, come on now, it's getting ridiculous.
But
is this true? Is this true?
Yeah. I think I was a little older than that because I remember that. But we went.
Wow.
I played in a travel tournament. I was a team, maybe like a early teenage years. I can't remember, but we was in Omaha, Nebraska. And so we drove there and drove back. And on the way back, we stopped at the site. And I remember I was all mad. I didn't pitch in the tournament. Like I was upset because I wanted to pitch and I thought I should have pitched and I didn't, I was a kid. And my dad was like, well, maybe we can have you throw, maybe you could throw on the mound to me at the Field of Dreams if like we can go on the field. And we get there and they're letting everybody on the field. Like, you know, you kind of walk out there and stuff. So my dad and I played catch, and then nobody was on the mound. So my dad like caught me. I probably threw him like 20 pitches or whatever. So yeah, no, I still remember that. It was pretty neat. It's a cool memory.
I'm just amazed, maybe not amazed, but they must have like a great grounds crew because everyone was playing on that field. You saw people playing on the field while the actual game was going on in the major league field. And you were there when you were like 12 years old or something like that, pitching on it. So they just must continuously let that happen because that field could get torn up if they don't take care of it with that much traffic on it.
And I know they mentioned this during the game. Did you see they had one of the White Sox ace travel teams play a team, I believe, from New York.
Yes.
On the actual movie site field the day before the game. And I saw on Twitter that a kid on the White Sox team hit a grand slam into the corn, which just had to be so freaking cool. I was like, that's so awesome for that kid.
Can you imagine that memory?
Yeah. So it's cool stuff. I mean, it was neat because, you know, most baseball fans have some sort of tie to that movie, whether it's they remember watching it with their parents or they just like the movie or like whatever. I feel like everyone who's a big baseball fan has some sort of like sentimental tie to that movie.
Right.
And for the MLB to kind of put it in that stage was just really cool. And it could not have gone better for them.
Yeah, it's I mean, the drama for it. First of all, everything was set up for the White Sox bullpen doing their job. Kopech comes in, Bummer comes in, Kimbrel comes in, and you figure, all right. And then we're getting to the end. Here's our closer. Here's Hendricks, and he's ready to go. He's all hopped up like he usually is. And then, you know, obviously things went completely awry for Hendricks there. And the range of emotions as a Sox fan, because it's like, boy, you're so close to the finish line. And Luke, I got to tell you this. That was my fear. I was like, with each out ticking away against the Yankees, I was like, man, I don't feel – I was not going to feel comfortable until they got that final out. And sure enough, you know, because there's just that Yankees lineup, whether or not they suck at pitching, that is a dangerous lineup. Yeah. You know, it's like one bopper after another. And – you know, for Judge to hit the 2 home runs and then Stanton to get the one right over Leuri's head, it was just, I was like, oh man, come on, you know, this is the White Sox chance to be on the biggest stage, and all that happens, and yet all that did was set up the drama in the bottom of the 9th for TA.
Yeah, no, you do with the Yankees lineup, and they still don't have Rizzo or Torres.
Right.
And so, you know, it's going to get even better once those two guys come off the injured list / COVID list. But no, like I said, all it did, it was almost like it was meant to be, right?
Right.
And, you know, the irony of everything with Anderson is, you know, back in 1919, Tim Anderson wouldn't have been able to play Major League Baseball.
Right.
You know, because of his skin color. And now here he is, you know, on the biggest stage of the regular season so far, you know, hitting the walk-off home run to give the White Sox the win. And it was just, you know, it was his signature moment in what's been an incredible last 3 years. You know, now the world is getting to see what White Sox have seen since 2019 about this guy, and what White Sox have been screaming and saying about this guy is this guy's a really darn good baseball player.
He is. Like,
not only is he cool and has the swag and does the bat flips and has all the charisma and all that stuff, but he's really freaking good.
Right.
Like, if you go back and watch that pitch from Zach Britton, like, that pitch, there are not many people in baseball that elevate that pitch. Like, I've and I put this on the thing, how many times have you watched the home run? I've watched a home run at least 30 times since the day. Like, I've half the time have been to the Titanic music, which is just hilarious. I love when Twitter cuts up the big sports moments, it puts them to Titanic. It just it cracks me up, and it's so perfect. But I've there's a bunch of times I've watched the Higashioka, the catcher, his glove, like, he doesn't move his glove. Like, that pitch is exactly where they wanted it to be.
Right.
And he just flicks that. He's gotten stronger, and he just flicks that thing over the fence. Like, there's a lot of people in the MLB can't do that, especially at short. Like,
right.
You got some of your big time shortstops in the MLB, but for the most part, your shortstops aren't doing that. Like, and this is a guy who, I feel like up till maybe last night or a Thursday night, I feel like nationally, a lot of people wanted to make some sort of excuse for Tim Anderson and his success. He's got a high BABIP. Oh, he's getting lucky because his BABIP is so high. Oh, his defense needs work. He didn't walk. But all this stuff. It's like, at what point do we say this guy is just really good and he embodies what a lot of people are saying the MLB should be like with marketing their stars and giving people a reason to watch the game because he's really freaking good and he's really freaking cool. So, I mean, it was a great moment, and it was a really great moment for baseball because maybe baseball now realizes somebody like Tim should be like at the forefront of their being a new face in a movement for the sport. And if you think I'm being homerish, listen to Joe Buck, because Joe Buck went on to score yesterday. I don't know if you saw this. I'm going to read the quote from Joe Buck yesterday. Joe Buck said, "I think Tim Anderson should be the face of baseball. I really do. I think he's everything right about the game. He's all energy. The guy plays his tail off, and he's awesome." Like, that's coming from like the number one national baseball voice, play-by-play wise, is saying that. So, we had a big group text over the week with some friends, and we were kind of talking about this, and people like, "Oh, you're being a homer." I'm like, I'm not the only one saying this now. Like, it's
right.
So, it was just great. It was a great moment for him. I think it was a great moment for baseball, a great moment for him, because I think people now finally realize this team is really good, and he's the heartbeat of the team. And it's not something Sox fans haven't known. We've all known that. But now everyone got to see it on a national stage on Thursday.
Yeah, it was just amazing. I was so happy that he was able to do it, obviously, because the Sox won. But the fact that it was him doing it just made it even sweet. I mean, no matter who on the Sox, if they would have hit the walk-off, I would have been excited. But the fact that it was him on that stage just made it that much more sweet. And then the technical aspect of it, going back to what you were saying about like the pitch location, that is where knowing what the pitcher is going to give you, that's where Anderson came up there with a plan. Because there are times when TA goes up there and he's swinging to pull, right? Because we see it sometimes where it's like first pitch, he's ready to unload, pull the ball. He knew what Britton was going to try and do, and he had a game plan for it. He got the pitch he was looking for and did exactly what he said he was going to do. And the ball sails into the cornfield. I mean, and that was not a cheapie either. Whether the balls were juiced or not, that wasn't the Stanton like just over the fence. That was gone. And he knew it. And that play. Oh, and then the other thing, the place going bonkers when it happened, because the place got really excited, especially for Yankee fans and just like the neutral fans, when the Yankees took the lead. Judge hitting the homer, and they're down by one, and then Stanton hitting the homer over Leary's glove, and Leary falls down. It's like he did a good Eloy impersonation there. So that was all exciting, for the game itself. For Sox fans, it's killing you. And then, like we talked about, it set up the drama in the bottom of the ninth with TA. But then when he hit it, he knew it. He just dropped the bat. And then he's doing his thing there, and then the lights go down, and then I was not expecting fireworks there. I thought like the cornfields would catch on fire or something like that. But the lights, going dark, the fireworks, Britton's walking off the mound, and then on that shot where you see Britton walking off the mound, you can see TA in the video board. That was cool. And then obviously the pile at home plate. It's like, everything about that game, that production. I mean, I don't think we'll ever talk about a regular season game like that ever again, or feel like a regular season game meant so much than what we witnessed on Thursday night.
Yeah, no, it was a roller coaster ride for sure. And if we're looking at this from a White Sox perspective and how it's kind of catapulted I think the White Sox now, the power rankings won't be forgetting the White Sox now after Thursday night.
Unless it's ESPN.
Yeah, and really the last three, they were on national TV 3 times this week, and they destroyed the Cubs, they destroyed the Twins, and then they won the Field of Dreams game. So, like, they've really kind of made a name for themselves. This has been a big week for the White Sox, I think. But then on the flip side of that, the Yankees, I tweeted out right after that Stanton home run. I said, this is the type of win for the Yankees that could propel them into the postseason if they hang on.
Yeah.
If sure enough, they go and they blow it in the 9th inning. So now I'm not sure what you're thinking if you're the Yankees after that game, and how quickly can you recover from that? But
you know how baseball is. The
yeah.
Yankees could go and win the next 2 games tonight and tomorrow, and they'll have won the series against the Sox. And the only game the Sox win out of the 6 is the Field of Dream games. Like, okay, if you're only going to win the one, I guess that's the one to win. But yeah, I mean, the Yankees are close. They're getting some guys back. They still just don't have the pitching. I know they're going to get Garrett Cole back next week, and but he's not the same Garrett Cole that he was before. But he's still Garrett Cole.
The Garrett Cole jokes were out there with they showed him. They did like a still shot of him at one point, and he was like looking around like he was lost or something.
Really?
And there was a bunch of he's out there looking. He's trying to find someone who's going to sell him some spider tack. There's all those.
Where's my dealer?
Yeah, all those. There were those jokes, and the other joke from the other night that was just ongoing. It was so funny, and I'm surprised that I didn't see this coming with the "Is This Heaven?" But the Eloy stuff with the raising from the dead is just. If you aren't familiar with this, if you're listening, it's just like a running joke from White Sox fans and Sox Twitter that Eloy died because they acted like he died after he got hurt, and they hung his jersey with the gloves in the dugout and all this stuff. So there were somebody tweeted, Kevin Costner was saying, "Welcome to this is heaven," and then it was like Eloy, well, then where have I been the last 4 months?
Oh my God, those graphics are hysterical. I mean, I completely love that. Let's see, I thought I brought that one. No, I don't have it. I thought I had it saved up.
Oh, with the clouds? Him in the clouds?
Yeah. But I mean, oh, man. Well, a lot of people have come back from the clouds, or they've been traded to different clouds. So, a lot of stuff going on there.
I said Eloy was the first player in the history of baseball to hit a home run from the Iowa after raising from the dead.
Oh, man. Gotta love Eloy. All right, well, let's get to another part of the equation here, which how come it's not showing? There it is. The Field of Dreams game. Oh, no, wrong. Sorry. Where did I go? Here we go. More Field of Dreams, Luke. So the question is, should this be a yearly event? Should they take it to other places in the country? Should they do maybe rotate? Should it be every 4 years? We already know from thank you, Grandpa Rossi, for leaking to the Cubs beat writers that they're going to be in next year's Field of Dreams game, probably against the Cardinals, which that could be like Field of Screams game. But
the MLB may want to rethink that one.
Yeah. Who are the Cubs going to trot out there, right?
Yeah.
Frank Schwindel.
Yeah. John Sweet-Fargus coming out of the corn doesn't exactly say the same thing as Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's interesting. This kind of reminds me a lot of when the NHL started their whole Winter Classic series, and they had the outdoor game for the first time, and it was a really big thing. And now it's kind of become I think it's still really cool that they do it, but it's sort of become it's not a big event anymore. At least it doesn't feel that way. You're the big hockey guy, so maybe correct me on that. But it doesn't feel like it's a big event anymore. So I think baseball could take a lesson from that and kind of think to themselves, how can we continue to make this a big event? Obviously, it's never going to top, unless they do a playoff game there, which they won't do. It's never going to top what happened on Thursday. And that's just not me being a homer. It was the first time, Kevin Costner's not going to bring himself out to Dyersville, Iowa every single year to do this.
Right.
He's not going to do that. So they had everybody there. It was just like the game of the year. Like, just remove the whole Field of Dreams part from it. So all of that combined together, I think it's a great idea if they continue to do it, but it's not going to ever meet what it met this time. Like, it's just not. So I think it would be cool if the MLB did, maybe added every couple of years, added another site where they did another game. And it was like, I think it's a cool idea if they hit, because, we talk about baseball, we talk about Americana and all that. I think it would be really cool if baseball tried to, like, make it a mission over the next, 30 years to play a game in every state, like a MLB game in every. There's a lot of states that haven't hosted a Major League Baseball game.
Well, first start off by playing in every state that doesn't have a major league team.
Yeah, 100%.
They're already playing games in the states that have a major league team. So then go to destinations or states that doesn't have Major League Baseball. And I think it's exactly what you said. You talked about how the Winter Classic has kind of lost its luster. The Winter Classic is always looking to, like, put it in stadiums and things like that may have some charm or uniqueness. Well, there's only one Wrigley Field. There's only one Fenway Park. Putting a game in, like, University of Michigan Stadium or Heinz Field or anything like that doesn't carry any cachet. I don't care what you say. It has to be something unique about the stadium. So for the Winter Classic, so what they did last year was they tried to bring it to Lake Tahoe, beautiful scenery. The only problem is the game time, the sun's beating down, the ice is getting sloppy, so they had to delay the game for 9 hours until they could play it. But they had the right idea in terms of bring it somewhere where it's like the setting is unique. Not just some random stadium, somewhere unique, somewhere you don't play. And I think that's what MLB can do, to take your idea, go to different states that don't have a major league team, and try and key in on something in that state that people would also want to see. Like play a game in Montana or Wyoming and you have the backdrop there. And then it's just, don't put it on a field that already exists. Make a field there. Now that's probably something that might be the challenge, because, all right, you play the game there, you have this field, then what? At least in Dyersville, they knew when they made that field that they were going to take all the bleachers and stands out of there, but the field's still going to remain. So they'll be back there next year and whatnot. But, like, can you do that in other states and other scenic areas without disrupting, what that area would be? Like, I don't know. Can you drop a Field of Dreams game in Yellowstone? I don't know. But these are things, like, to get people to watch. The Field of Dreams angle to this was the curiosity factor, and then everything around it, and the two teams, of course. But make no mistake, the Field of Dreams aspect of it was the curiosity factor that boosted the people's interest in this game, and you have to find a way to replicate that.
No, 100%. Kevin Palmer puts up the thing about the Sandlot Field. That movie was actually filmed. A lot of people don't know this. It was actually filmed mostly in Utah, that movie. So maybe, I'm not sure, like, where it was filmed, but maybe, like, they can go back to that old site and build a stadium, But now, once again, maybe we could just do movies where James Earl Jones was in.
Right.
Year 3, they're gonna go play at the International Space Station to pay homage to Star Wars. But no, they need to. I think that would be cool. Maybe that's just the fact that it was filmed in Utah. Maybe they could do something with that. I'm not sure, like, where the site is for that movie, or if it's preserved or anything like that.
Well, I like, like if you do like the Sandlot aspect of it, then you got to have, like, a dog house and, like, a dog locked up, like, in the outfield, and, like, a rickety fence or something like that. I was listening to Parkins and Spiegel yesterday. Parkins had a great idea. Why don't you do it where there's no home run fence. So if you hit it like 500 feet, the outfielder can still track it down and stuff like that.
Oh.
I would love to see something crazy like
that.
that.
You know how many games I played like that as a kid? You go play out of field with no fence.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad I never was an outfielder growing up because I was too slow for that. But I loved hitting them over the kids. It's like, go track that down because I needed as much distance on the ball for me to make it around the base paths.
I will say, cross sport. The coolest idea I have heard for a sport to play a game at a different venue like this is if the NBA plays a game at Rucker Park, that would be so cool. How big Rucker Park is in New York and how that's such a big destination for basketball players in the city that's supposed to be the mecca for basketball. Like that would be, I think the NBA should do, like they should see what happened with Field of Dreams and sit down and be like, okay, within the next 3 years, we should make a game happen in Rucker Park between like the Knicks and like, I don't know, the Bulls or like another, like a team that's big. I think that would be so sweet if they did that.
Yeah, you got to believe all of the major sports executives, saw what took place Thursday night and are trying to think. Like the NHL already does something like this, so maybe they're thinking how they can refine it. But you're right, the NBA could use something like this. I think did they do the game that was on an aircraft carrier, or was that college?
It was college.
Okay, that was unique. A unique setting and all that. But you're right, doing something unique, taking the game out, one regular season game, have a lot of interest on it. That would be cool. And then I think the second best location for the NBA, Luke, would be the Keating Sports Center, of course, right?
Of course, yes. Hey, they pay homage to the old Pro-Am that used to be there.
Yeah.
So you can do play a Keating. We'll have to. They may have to call me back to pinch hit and try to get the live stream going for that game. We have to run the wires, but I can't promise the score bug will work. There may not be a time and score on the live. But
yes. Your mom is right, by the way, 100% on the game. No matter what, nothing's going to top that game. I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
We've got to throw some shade at the Cubs. She's got to do that, of course.
Yes, like that was obligatory.
Yeah. I feel like the Cubs thing is low hanging fruit right now. Like it's like it's so bad right now for them that I can't even bring myself to make fun. I feel too bad. It's just Nick makes a good point about the match. Yeah, no, that's true. I know they play a lot of courses they don't see on the tour. That's kind of become a novelty for them, where they kind of cross sports with it. Because golf's one of those games where everybody plays. You don't have to be a professional to go play golf all the time. So
I can attest to that.
Yeah. So it's
I'm bad.
Yeah. So it's all these football players play. A lot of other athletes play golf all the time in the off season. So, that's pretty cool I think that's been a really cool idea. That's worked really well for golf that they've done that.
Yeah. And it's golf can also focus in on the venue and the course and the layout. I mean, I don't watch golf, very rarely do I watch golf. Maybe if I know it's a big match, and when Tiger was in things, I used to do things like that maybe, but otherwise, whenever they would present Augusta, and the majesty of the scenery there, that would always look cool. So golf can do things like that, but it's hard for other sports. That's why you got to get creative. Jason, hey, good morning to you, sir. Thanks for tuning in.
Mark made the comment about will Cairo get fired because he pinned it for Larry Garcia?
Yeah,
which is, we were texting about that during the game. Him and I thought that was pretty funny. I see LaRussa in Florida at the wake or the funeral. Be like, hold on a sec, I got to go yell at McGill.
He's up there giving a eulogy or something. It's what the? Excuse me, storms out.
But as much as we kind of have fun with TLR on this show, I felt bad that he couldn't be there. Condolence to his family. This is a guy who's been a manager for the team, all season long and has done a great job. And this cool event, he didn't get to be there for. That's gotta be cool for Miguel Cairo, though. I believe that's got to be his first game he's managed in the majors, right?
I think so.
From start to finish, and he gets to do it in Iowa at the Field of Dreams, like that. That's pretty cool for him. So
right. No, I mean that was just. I don't know. My camera keeps making me blurry, or maybe I just am blurry, and it's not the camera. I don't know. We'll fix this here. Tap tap tap. There we go. Oh, now I'm even lower. What's going on, Luke?
We got some tech issues today.
We do. Yeah, this camera every now and then just like doesn't want to have me. All right, there we go. The other thing I thought about, did we hear if Leary got injured going after that ball for Stanton? Was that why he was pinch hit for?
Number one, I love how everybody assumed it was he. Half of Twitter assumed Eli wasn't left because he ran into the wall.
Right.
There was one of the beat writers, I think. I forget which one it was, but tweeted like, a slip up for Eloy in left, running into the fence, and like right away he got corrected by like everybody. It's like that was Lurie in left field. But no, I think Miguel Cairo saw that it was a lefty and he wanted to put in a true right-handed bat. That's what I would think happened. Mendick also, I think, has got a little more pop than Lurie. Yeah. So, with the way the night was, maybe he thought he had a chance to turn into one and tie the ball game. The unsung hero of that inning was Sebi Zavala. Him working that walk after going down 0-2. Sebi's just, man, he's going to be here. Collins is going down. I think we all kind of know that's happening.
Yep.
He's a good example of you look past stats. He's just a winning ball player to me. Like Sebi Zavala, whenever he's in there, I feel like whether it's his defense and the way he calls the game, or he'll look like crap for 3 at-bats and then come up and just like work a walk or work a count in a key spot. Like I feel like he's just a winning ball player. Like maybe him being on this team has kind of helped him become that. But right now when he plays, I'm pretty comfortable. And I think I feel like in some way, shape, or form throughout the game, he's going to contribute to winning. He may look terrible at the plate sometimes, but most games he's going to make some sort of impact, whether it's defensively or hit a home run or work a wall like the other day. Like he's just going to contribute to the victory.
The only the hole in his game, though, part of it is defense. So aside from his offense, the guy's got 6 pass balls since he's been up. So he has not been as great at defensively and blocking the ball. So he looks Colin-esque in that particular situation. Oh, and he doesn't hit much. But I think he might even have more home runs than Collins at this point.
I think he does. I know
he's been here a shorter period of time. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. The writing is on the wall for Zach Collins. It's unfortunate he couldn't take advantage of the opportunity that was given when Grandal went down. Once I heard, Lucas Giolito waxing poetic about the game that Sebi called, I knew it was over. It's like at that point then Giolito was pretty strongly in Collins' camp. That seemed to change after that one outing. So it just seems to be that, yeah, he'll probably be the backup, and then Collins will have to go down. I got to ask you a question. Did Major League Baseball allow one extra player for the Field of Dreams game? Was that why Mendick was up?
They did, and okay. I wonder what the reason for that was. Maybe it was just to give another player a chance to be a part of the history. I would assume that's why.
Okay.
But Mendick was the guy they picked for that, which, he's been up a lot, so that probably makes some sense. And he got a chance to play a little bit, so.
Yeah. Jason talked about, there was a foul ball there where the Yankees, did that go in the stands or did it go in the field there? I don't know. But, he was down 0-2 for sure.
Yeah. No, it was cool. Mark making a good point. Yeah, it's a lot easier to – I think the same thing goes for like the Brian Goodwins of the world too. Like, you're in this great lineup where, no one's really expecting Brian Goodwin to be the guy to step up and do something. And, he hits a walk-off home run a couple weeks ago. So it's one of those things where you're in this big lineup. it doesn't hurt you to have somebody like Zavala in it every once in a while. And when he's in there, that's when the pitcher feels like he can relax. And that's a dangerous situation to be in if you're a pitcher feeling like you can let your guard down, because these guys are all professional hitters and you can't do that to anybody. So,
right. Yeah. No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but I think, like you said, Luke, I think the kind of the writing's on the wall there for Zach Collins and Sebi taking over that backup catcher role. Hopefully Grandal gets back sooner rather than later. I don't want them to rush it, but I'm just thinking about they are missing a left-handed power bat when you consider that Yoan still isn't driving the ball like he had in 2019. So the home run ball is missing from the left-hand side of the plate, aside from what Goodwin provides and what Sheets had provided. So getting Grandal back, because I love when he crushes one, his bat drop, that's when that just makes that lineup look that much more fearsome.
Yeah. They certainly ain't missing it from the right-handed side anymore after Eloy. Boy, is he just – we haven't really talked about him since he's been on his absolute warpath. But gosh, he's just – he's killing everything right now, man. It's just been – he may lead the team in homers by the end of the year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, it's been fun. They're good, and they got a – big stretch coming up here, so we'll see how things go in this tough stretch they have upcoming.
Yep. All right, well, let's shift focus here. It is time to move on to football. So we're moving away from Field of Dreams, Luke, and we're dreaming of fields.
There we go.
How about that? How about that? Bears.
Dreams come to life today.
Oh, my God. We have one great dream on Thursday. And now we're all dreaming about what we're going to see at noon today, and otherwise what would be a nondescript exhibition game for both teams. But because we have Mr. Fields in play, there's going to be a lot of interest.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely going to be I think I texted you, Woods, it's the most hyped preseason game since when? And I don't know. I don't know if you can remember. I don't think, even though he was a higher draft pick and we were all excited to see Mitch in the preseason when he was a rookie, I don't think he had as much fanfare, definitely not nationally.
Right.
And locally, because Bear fans were pretty split on if they liked the pick or not back then, as they are with Fields. So I think today is big. It's going to be really cool. He's expected to play, according to, take Matt Nagy's word for what it's worth, which is not very much whenever he speaks. But he's supposed to play into the second half. And then he also said the starters are supposed to play 1 to 2 series, and that's going to be individually based. So I would expect Justin Fields to enter the game at some point in the first quarter, and then play into the third quarter, maybe like a drive in the third quarter. So I'd say half the first, all of the second, and a little chunk of the third is going to be his. So you're going to get a good chance today to see him really play and play a lot. So, this is going to be something. And, I almost wonder, I know the Bears have said all the right things in their mind about Dalton's the one. He's the starter. He's taking all the reps with the ones, and he's played well. And I'm sure I'm sure he's played great. I'm not doubting that. I'm sure Dalton has been awesome. But it's only it's going to happen at some point in the preseason. Kyle Brandt was saying this on Good Morning Football, and I totally agree with him. There's going to be one play in the preseason that Fields makes where everyone's going to drop their jaw and be like, oh, my gosh.
Right.
This guy has the ability that we haven't seen a Bears quarterback have in forever. And as soon as that play happens, the firestorm is going to come. And it's going to get really loud that he should be playing. It's going to open the world's eyes. It's going to open the Bears' eyes oh, my gosh, maybe we should get this guy out there. So I wonder if that's going to happen today or if it's going to happen next week. Is it Tennessee next week they play?
No, Buffalo.
Buffalo. I think then it's Tennessee. But it's going to happen at some point. There's going to be a play where he makes where everyone drops their jaw And then the quarterback controversy is going to hit a whole nother gear after that happens. Because we're gonna get the live glimpse in a game of him doing something that we haven't gotten yet. So that's just gonna kick everything up a notch with this whole quarterback thing, and it's gonna become a storm. And I think it's gonna happen.
Well, and Jason brings up a good point, which, from what you're saying, it's a philosophical question. Assuming our tackle positions are going to be the weakness on the line. The interior is pretty good with guard play and centers, but with the question marks we have at tackle.
Yeah.
Do you want to put your franchise savior quarterback behind that offensive line in harm's way to start the season? Or do you want to let Andy Dalton cook with that and see what happens, because right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if that's going to be a deterrent or a weakness of the team, I'm not so sure that you put Justin Fields out there right away to have him face that. Now, the other end of that equation, though, is he has the athleticism to get himself out of trouble that would be coming his way, whereas Andy Dalton, and definitely not Nick Foles, could not do that, right? Now, what Dalton could do is probably just get rid of the ball quicker. Whether or not he throws it to someone would be another matter. But Fields would at least have the ability, the escapability aspect to it. But do you want him running around crazy like that because the offensive line is weak, getting himself exposed? So I'm kind of torn with that. That's why I think this preseason, that's why I think Nagy, even like you said, what he says and what he does are two different things. I think he really needs to see what his team looks like to make that decision for game one. So I think everything's at play. I don't think it's a given that Dalton will start the season as a number one. So I do think there is an opportunity for Fields to take it, but I do think what that offensive line looks like will be a deciding factor or a determining factor in that, not the only one.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think the last thing you want to do is throw him behind a ragtag crew and have him, be running for his life every play and getting hurt. I don't care how mobile he is. Like, that's not good for his development for him to be running for his life every play. So, they have to figure some of this line stuff out. I think a lot of this stuff I'm not saying it's overblown because it's a problem, but, they've had their line's been so banged up in camp, and a lot of it's been Tevin Jenkins is the one I'm really worried about, but everyone else is just like, he's nicked up here, he's nicked up there, he's got a mild concussion. Like, I think aside from Tevin, everyone's probably going to be back and fine by week one. So, but, you would like to, number one, see continuity, see a line, get a chance to build some continuity before you put a rookie quarterback there. And number two, Tevin Jenkins was the guy you were counting on to play left tackle, which is the most important position on the line. Right. So, if any position on the line is going to be strong, you want it to be left tackle. Right now, that's the one that looks like the weakest. So, I definitely think that will play a factor. I think if you told me to put money on who's going to be playing week one, I think I would tell you it's going to be Andy Dalton. So I don't know if, if you've asked me that for week 5 or week 6, then maybe I would lean Fields. But I think right away, I think it's going to be probably Dalton in there. But again, perception's a powerful thing. And if Fields goes out there today and lights the world on absolute fire, then, and I keep going back to this. It's not like we could sit here as fans and stuff and be like, oh, it's smart if they play this. It's not smart if they play this guy, blah, 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 blah. Go back and forth. If it's very clear that Justin Fields is better than Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy then, if he's going to play Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy has to look a room of 56 guys in the eye and say, we're going to play this guy over the guy who's clearly better. Like, and this, a lot of these players' salaries and livelihoods are centered around how they do and winning and all that stuff. Like, that's just a very tough thing for a coach to do. Like, It's almost like locker room suicide. You kind of saw it in 17 with Glennon and Trubisky. Like after 2 weeks, the team's like, what the heck are we doing? Put in the guy who's better. Like, so let's say the Bears play Andy Dalton week 1 and they lose a game, and the whole team knows that Fields is better than Andy Dalton. That's the fastest way for Nagy to lose that locker room in a heartbeat. Like, so it's while it's easy for us to like sit here and look at like, oh well, the line's bad, we shouldn't play him. Like, that's not how a team of guys is going to look at it. And the head coach,
you're right.
Yeah. So it's a really, there's a lot of things at play with this thing. And
Matt Nagy's decision has to be who gives the Bears the best chance to win. It can't be what's best for Fields' development. It has to be game 1 after going through training camp and preseason. Which quarterback gives me the best chance to win for game 1? And if it's Dalton over Fields based on objective, analysis, then fine. And then you can justify that. But if it's just, I don't want to start his development clock too soon. I want him to like sit on the pines and, watch Andy Dalton's mastery or anything like that. No, if Fields gives you the better chance to win, then you play him. To your question, Curtis, well, first of all, is he a starter? But depends on who's the quarterback in front of him. Obviously, he's not starting over Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in Buffalo or anywhere like that, Joe Burrow. But if you're just talking about other offensive lines, I guess we just go back to what we just said, Curtis. Which quarterback gives you the best chance to win, regardless of the status of your offensive line? And if it turns out that it is Justin Fields for the Bears for game 1, then, maybe that will be the decision. But we're a long way. They have a long way to go before they have to make that decision. And today's the first, I would say, flashpoint in that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see what the conversation's like Monday morning when you turn on Sports Talk Radio about Fields and how he did and how it kind of has affected the quarterback controversy. Because I think he's going to play well today. I just, everything we've seen in camp has told us that he's progressing, and I expect him to play pretty well, especially against backups. So we'll see what happens. Do I have faith in Nagy making that decision? Do we have faith in him? I don't know. He hasn't really had to make.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I guess last year with Trubisky Foles, I don't think he handled that all that well. And, they won some games with Foles, but the offense was really, really stale when he was in there. And then the offense kind of got invigorated when Mitch went back in until, they kind of got figured out by some better defenses at the end of the year. But, to put it in all reality, though, I think we're both in agreement that, we could be wrong about this. We don't know. We haven't seen you guys play yet, but I think we're both in agreement that Andy Dalton and Justin Fields are both better than both guys that played last year.
Yes.
Mitch is a backup now somewhere else, and Foles is a third string. So that's pretty clear that both guys are better than the options he had last year. So we'll see. I've soured on Nagy a lot the last 2 years. I was really high on him after year 1 because they had a great year his first year. Like it was hard to not believe after the first year with them. We've talked about it on this show, and we both have agreed. Matt Nagy, great leader of men. Not sure if he's a great X's and O's coach.
Right.
Or has the highest football IQ type coach. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this, but I do think that I think he will. What I do have faith in Nagy is he will have the pulse of the locker room, and he will play the guy that the locker room believes in more, which is important because you have to have in football, you have to have the team in unison. Like you can't have a split locker room over a guy. Like whoever he plays, I think is going to have the team's backing, and that's an important part. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it's like I'm with everyone who is questioning Matt Nagy's ability to lead this team because, you know, you talk all you want about he's never been below 500 and he's made playoffs, you know, a couple years or whatever. The fact of the matter is that there's enough on the con side as there is on the pro side, and quarterback handling. Now, everyone has thrown in Matt Nagy's corner. Well, he didn't develop Mitch. Well, maybe if you look at what happened in the offseason, he was signed as a backup. No one came clamoring for Mitch Trubisky as a starter. He's a backup behind an all-star quarterback in Josh Allen. So it's not as if all the other teams in the league thought, you know what, man, Nagy he didn't do his job with Trubisky, but if I can get him in here, we can mold him into something. That's not what happened. So you got to have someone who has a capability of being a talent, and then it's Nagy's job to develop that. And the quarterback coaches and the cast of thousands that they have in their passing game offense. So that's what it's going to be about. But you're right. It's the first big decision is who's starting game one, and that's what he's going to be evaluating, and that's going to go down to the wire. I do believe that. Now, when they get to the Tennessee game, though, Luke, what I think that's going to be the Nick Foles show for a couple of reasons. Number one, maybe Dalton goes and does a series, Fields does a series, and then I think they turn it over to Foles to hopefully showcase him so then he can be maybe someone who's looking for a backup. Injury happens, that he can move along. And maybe that happens sooner. Maybe that happens in the second half of the Buffalo game. But either way, you're going to see a lot more of Nick Foles this preseason than you probably wanted to.
Yeah, you'll probably see. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Andy Dalton. I think you're going to see a decent amount of Fields, and you'll probably see Foles. And Nick Foles, for as much as Bear fans don't like the guy and agreed on all fronts, Nick Foles is going to be going against third string players all preseason. This guy won a Super Bowl. I ain't a betting man. I bet a little bit, but don't take betting advice from me, but like if you could bet like Foles stat lines, I'd pound the over on all of those.
Probably.
He's going against third string. He'll be going against third string players. I expect him to freaking light it up today, more than any quarterback, because he's played against guys who won't be in the NFL in 2 weeks.
Right.
And so there you go. I knew that was coming from somebody. Yeah.
Well, you know what's coming next then.
Where's the Matt Nagy wallpaper?
There he is. Oh my God. Go away, Matt Nagy. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's an all-time draft moment. I don't know what's better, that or when they showed the guy taking a crap in Mike Vrabel's bathroom during the
whole draft. I mean, then you got Jerry Jones is on his yacht or whatever. It's like, and then Belichick just some basic table. He's got his dog, and the guy taking the crap was it Cleveland or Baltimore? Who was it? Was
Tennessee. Yeah. He was taking a crap in the background. guys on the toilet.
Yeah, they tried to deny it. It's like, what the hell's going on? Shut the door.
That was also the Belichick thing. Didn't they cut at one point where it was just the dog? Like the dog was in Belichick's chair.
Yes.
And then the Belichick nameplate came up and it was a dog. It was just sitting there. That was a great draft. That was fun.
Yeah. Jason, he's kind of convinced that Nagy's maybe not suited for head coaching material, maybe more coordinator. We'll see. I mean, one thing I think you and I can agree on, whatever happens this year, unless it's a total collapse, the gang's going to be back next year too. Mm-hmm. So unless they go 2-15, They're coming back next year because the drafting of Justin Fields has allowed them like that escape route for at least another season.
They got to release their next collaboration album. It's got to come out. So,
oh my God.
Beyond Fields, I know this was something I think I had mentioned in what we were going to talk about. What are some other things as a Bear fan that you are kind of looking at today as kind of watching points or position battles or whatnot? What are some other things you're kind of excited to see play out today on the field?
So probably in order of priority, aside from the quarterback position, offensive line play, secondary, because there's a lot of question marks and new faces there. And then for me, it's a toss-up between the wide receivers and the running game. It's like I'm not going to get too concerned if I don't see that Matt Nagy isn't like handing the ball off a lot in preseason, but we do need to see some of it. So, but like if it looks like, oh, it's the same Matt Nagy again, I'm not going to panic during the preseason, but I do want to see what the combination of running backs we have looks like. Now, there's no Tariq Cohen yet, so that's starting to get a little bit of a concern. But then let's see, what the depth chart looks like behind David Montgomery. But the wide receiver battles, to me, Robinson and Mooney, and then, who are going to be the guys after that? So I would say in order is offensive line, secondary, and then kind of maybe a tie between wide receivers and running backs.
Yeah, I actually have the wide receivers at the top. I'm today with that, with as much as we're going to see Dalton and Fields, which sounds like more than half the game will consist of those two quarterbacks. This might be one of the best chances for us to not just see them, but which receivers in this clump between, really, if you hear the Bears talk, there's like 8 guys fighting for 3 or 4 receiver spots. So which guys do the Bears quarterbacks have a rapport with at receiver? And we're going to see that today. We know the number 1 is going to be Robinson. We know the number 2 is going to be Mooney. So I think to Curtis's point, I think Curtis is talking more about wide receiver 3 than 2, because we know that Mooney's the 2.
Darnell Mooney's the 2. Right.
And really what we're talking about here is probably going to end up being the 5th option in the passing game, because I think option 1's Robinson, option 2 is going to be Mooney, and then 3/4 is going to be Montgomery /Kmet. So that's clear. Jimmy Graham's going to play in the red zone. So we know all those things. So what does that next ancillary option look like? Is it one of the receivers? Is it Marquise Goodwin, Damiere Byrd? Has Riley really taken a step forward? Is it still going to be the ninth life of Javon Wims, Hardy, Newsome, any of these guys? Or is it going to be, you mentioned running back.
Right.
I'm excited to see Damian Williams. The last time we saw Damian Williams play a football game was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Right.
He looked good. So
did he take off last year for COVID?
He opted out last season. So the Damian Williams, and you mentioned Tariq Cohen not being healthy, it doesn't sound like he's going to be on the field anytime soon.
Right.
So Damian Williams, I think, may have a pretty bigger role than people think in this offense pretty early on. And I think we'll either see a lot of him today to get him acclimated, or we just see a couple plays and then he's out of the game. And then that in itself would tell me that he's going to be a big part of the offense. So it's going to be interesting how all those other weapons behind, like the 4 main guys we know are going to be, all those other weapons, how they look with the quarterbacks. And I'm interested in seeing that today. To answer Jason's question, Anthony Miller got traded to the Texans. I'm not sure if people realize that.
Yeah, that's why I said, another bust.
Okay. So
and another bust. Yeah. So
yeah.
Jason doesn't seem to be like a Ryan Pace fan, and I'm excited. I'm excited about Kevin White.
Uh, no, and you mentioned the secondary. The guy you coined, yeah, I'll give you this nickname, Darth Vildor.
That's right.
He is currently the start. He's listed as the starter ahead of Desmond Trufant at that second corner spot. So, it's going to be. I know that's still a battle that they're working out, but I liked what I saw from him at the end of last year. I thought he showed some flashes last year that he can be a pretty decent player. So, him getting a chance here in the preseason to go against number ones all the time.
Right.
He's probably going to be guarding like Devontae Parker or Jalen Waddle, or I don't know if Fuller's playing or not. I know he's suspended the first 2 games of the season, but I'm not sure if he's playing the preseason. But Will Fuller seems to be going against a pretty decent receiver, whoever he's guarding. So, and then the last thing I had thought of, nothing to do with players. This is the first time we're going to see a Bears game with the weird jersey number thing. Eddie Jackson's wearing number 4. Because NFL players now there's no restrictions on what numbers they could wear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Eddie Jackson's wearing number 4. I'm looking at the rosters right now. 2 of the receivers for the Dolphins that are starting are wearing numbers 2 and 3. Like, it's just like some weird, interesting things. So it's just going to be it's going to be weird just to, you're always used to seeing the same, the same numbers at each position. And it's going to be like, now we'll catch that number 9 with the catch at receiver. It's just going to be weird. So, it's going to be kind of cool to see that.
Yeah. That'll be neat. It's, and again, you can't take too much out of the first preseason game just because starters don't play that long, but there are some things to watch, as you say, and the depth for the Bears will be tested. With every NFL team, the depth always get tested. And those are usually the things that make a difference for an NFL team, because you're going to have injuries, you might have suspensions, you might still be dealing with COVID. So you're going to have the depth to be able to compete. And so the Bears are no different than any other team. I do worry about the secondary, especially because Jalen Johnson does have an injury history, and he wasn't able to complete his rookie year. So, what does that mean? And in terms of that secondary too, especially with Kyler Filler no longer on the team, so the salary cap subtractions were painful for this team. Say what you want about Charles Leno. He wasn't great, but he was available, right?
Mm-hmm.
He showed up. You got rid of Bobby Massey and you got rid of Kyle Fuller. You made some decisions to keep Jimmy Graham as a red zone specialist because he's not going to do anything between the 20s. So, this is where, whatever you say about Matt Nagy, a lot of what you're seeing with this Bears roster falls on the hands of Ryan Pace, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. It's definitely something, their depth is going to be tested this year. A lot of teams had to make those cutbacks with the pandemic. I didn't agree with the ones they did. I thought there were some other guys they could have let go. You mentioned Jimmy Graham. I personally don't understand why he's here.
Right.
Instead of someone like Leno or Fuller. Now, I know it's more complicated than that, they had to make some other, we had a show about that where they had to make some other cuts, but
right.
I don't understand why guys like Fuller weren't prioritized. And, I'd rather cut Graham and 2 other ancillary players than Fuller. It's one of those things that I don't understand, but this is the team, this is what it is. And at this point, it's like, this is what the Bears are rolling with. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not meaning to relitigate it, but it's just to make a point in terms of the depth of the Bears. And like I said, every team has to go, deal with it, but it is something that they'll they're gonna have to be able to figure out, for sure. So, and that's what the preseason is going to be all about. And then, what's your health status rolling into game one, and then it's a week to week basis after that. So we'll see. So, all right. Any final thoughts before we close it out here? I know it was an exciting week for sure. I mean, I'm trying to if we're adding the Field of Dreams game in there, and then the Dreaming of Fields game today, and then the trade deadline stuff, and then the Bulls activity and the Blackhawks activity, like the last few weeks of Chicago sports, even on the Cubs side, even if it's like a negative, it was like impactful stuff that took place. For like the middle of summer, we've had so much going on. It's just like it's really been impressive.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun summer, that's for sure. And I think all of that good stuff combined with the fact that we got fans back in person and all that, like it's kind of made for just a lot of fun. A lot of fun the last few weeks here, and hopefully the good vibes keep going. The Bears are next up, so hopefully the good vibes keep going, and the Bears can continue this train that the Sox and the Blackhawks the last couple of weeks with the moves, right, the Bulls kind of started.
Jason, to answer your question, time will tell. Matt Nagy's not a huge believer in the running game, so I don't know what to make of that.
Well,
but
I don't know if I entirely agree with Jason's statement there. David Montgomery had a great year last year. David Montgomery, that second half he had was awesome.
But how much of that was Bill Lazor? Was it Lazor's play calling?
Yeah, it could have been. Who knows? But David Montgomery had a great year last year. I thought he took a big leap forward. And a lot of people don't remember that he had a bad injury in camp, and we thought he was going to be out for the first couple of weeks, and then he ended up playing. Was it a groin? Where the video, I remember there was the video of the injury on Twitter, and everyone goes, "Oh, he's out for the year," and then he's playing week one. So he probably was playing through a little bit of that before he got going and all that stuff. Right. So I thought Montgomery was great last year, and Cole Kmet kind of came on at the end of last year, and his development last season, honestly, is better than most rookie tight ends. Rookie tight ends do not do much in the NFL.
Yeah, so maybe the Kmet comp there is like a little premature. I still think there's more that Montgomery can give if he's allowed to give it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%.
I definitely expect year two for Kmet has to be an impact year, just because, well, number one, you're spending a lot of money for Jimmy Graham in the end zone, in the red zone, but Cole Kmet's the guy. He was the draft pick, so he has to be able to flash for sure.
I think
checking in.
There we go. Yeah, he says, "So who's going to win Nickelodeon MVP this year?"
That's right.
I expect from the offense, Robinson should be right at about 100 catches like he always is.
Right.
I think Mooney takes a jump from 60 to about 70 or 80. And then Montgomery and Kmet both should be right, in that 50-60 range in terms of receptions.
Yeah. No, right. And so that's one thing Montgomery proved is he can be a dual threat there, running and passing game for sure. So excellent, sir. All right, our next show will be next Saturday at 10 a.m., I believe. I don't think we have anything else on the docket. I think we could still figure out if we can get back into the studio if we can, if maybe not next week, maybe the week after. So we'll be able to, figure that out as we go forward here. So Luke and I will get that figured out. Otherwise, want to thank everyone for tuning in. And for the comments, coming up there, we appreciate you guys tuning in and chiming in on the topics. And let's enjoy today's games, whatever game that you're watching, and we'll talk to y'all next week.